If you are a farmer or someone who is new to farming and you are thinking of getting yourself a land, be it buying or leasing, there are several factors that you should consider before you've made the solid decision on the piece of land purposely for farming. These are crucial factors that most you should consider before you've made the solid decision on the piece of land purposely for farming. These are crucial factors that most farmers tend to assume, but they really matter most. And the amount of profit, the sustainability of your farm really relies on these factors. So on this video, I'm going to give you the 6 main factors that you should consider before settling on the piece of land that you want to expand and grow your farming on. My name is Kelvin Wairimo, an agricultural consultant at Farmworks Kenya. Farmworks Kenya is an agricultural solutions center where we offer you farmers with solutions to your daily farming challenges. Now, if you are here and you're new, I really appreciate you so much. And if you are also our frequent student, I really appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And I have one humble request. If you've not managed to subscribe, kindly do so. Also, don't forget to share this with other farmers. We usually tell you that this is the only way that you can manage to help us expand and empower as many farmers as possible. With that now said, let's look at these factors that are so much important and hold so much key into your piece of land, and above all, the profitability in your farming. Number 1 on top of the list is the purpose or the goal. What do you want to do? Do you want to do animal farming or you want to do crop farming? If it's crop farming, what are these crops do you want to do? Different crops perform differently in different regions. For example, if you're doing avocados, pixies, and all those orchards, they tend to do well in warm areas. So you cannot go and lease a farmland in cold areas to plant pixies or oranges because they will fail. But you need a land in warm areas. Same case, you need a land in colder areas if you want to do coffee farming. So this really goes and matters. Even in the case of animals, if you are doing dairy farming, what type of dairy farming do you want to do? What are the breeds of cows do you want to do? Some breeds tend to thrive in cold regions while others thrive in warm regions. So if you want to do breeds that thrive in warm regions, then you need to lease a land in warm regions, not in cold regions. But if you want a high yielding breeds that yield more and thrive in cold regions, you cannot lease land in warm regions. You need land in cold regions. So the purpose of your farming really matters so much when it comes to determining the place and type of land that you're going to lease. And number 2, and the most important other factor, is soil and water. These are the main factors of production as far as farming is concerned. Water is crucial since you cannot rely at this time on rain-fed agriculture alone. Water and rainfall, especially rainfall, is not sustainable. It's not reliable. So in the event that it subsidizes in the middle of your production, you need a backup irrigation system that can hold you in your production. The other case is good market prices are often high in off seasons. And in order for you to do off-season farming, you need a reliable irrigation system. And the only way you can have it is to have a permanent water source that never runs off. And therefore, you can manage to enjoy good market prices and even profitability at all times. As for the case of the soils, different crops thrive in different soils. Some farms have loam soils, others have sandy soils, and others have clay soils. Loam soils, they are very good for farming. They support almost all crops. Yes, be it fruits, be it vegetables, be it flowers, even pasture. For the sandy soil, these soils, they are kinda not that much good, and especially because of high drainage. They tend to have poor water holding capacity, and therefore this makes them to leach nutrients very fast and making them more infertile. They are good for tubers, but you'll need to keep on reinforcing with some manure and also constant irrigation. For the clay soils, this is a bad soil and doesn't support any crop growth. For why? It has poor drainage and therefore it's prone to flooding. And then the other thing with it, is that it died to crack while dry. So it's sticky and cracks when dry, and therefore the roots cannot thrive and the roots cannot manage to grow. These are major key factors that you should look for. If you are really concerned for an agricultural land, make sure that you go for a loam or even a sandy loam soil. Now, the other third factor that is more crucial and most important is the topography of the land. This is one of the most assumed factor by most people. What is topography of the land? This is the gentleness or the slopiness of the land. How steep is the land? How flat is the land? How valley is the land? Why? If it's too much steepy, the land, be guaranteed it will be exposed to flooding. So you'll have to put some measures to prevent flooding. The same case if it's too much flat. Then if it's also too much steepy, it tends to get so much exposure of the sunlight, tends to have a problem with sunburns. And that's why you find some crops planted almost along the valley, they tend to face direct heat of the sunlight and tend to face sunburn or to have those problems of the sunburn. So when you're looking for a good agricultural land, it should be just gentle slope to avoid flooding and also for ease of drainage. The other factor that is most crucial and that you must consider even before you go to the price is the history of the land. Yes, when you're leasing land, the aim is to have a sustainable production. But there are farms that have feud. There are farms that have family conflicts. So you may find yourself, you never did your history well. You never did your research well. So by the time that you are coming to lease this land, you find in the middle of your production, maybe someone in the family comes and tells you, this land is ours, we didn't lease it to you, this farm, it should not be leased to you, and all this, it's something that will hold your production and may ultimately lead to you losing all your money. And some may come and tell you, oh, you know what, we are terminating this contract because this is my land, oh, this is our land, no, this, And to avoid all this, do research. Ask yourself, ask the neighbors, how is that farm? How is that family? Do they lease land? And what is the history with others who have leased land in them? Do this family has a history of leasing the land and then in the middle of the time frame they come and take it back? Those are key factors that you should look on. The other one and most important is the community perception. What do this community believes about outsiders? Some, they may believe that we have the full autonomy of the land. It's a communal land. And by that, what we mean is that they believe, and especially if they are pastoralists, you may find them believing that they have the ability to and the freedom to invade your farm and graze their crops. Their crops are main priority. For others, they say, we may lease the land, but do not fence so that our animals may come and graze your farm. So you will find yourself here having conflict now and then between the communities and you. Either they've grazed your crops, either they've grazed and eaten or even stolen your animals, So these are factors that you should consider. The other one is security. When people hear about security, they think that it's about the theft matters, not per se. Of course, that one may be considered, but there's another security, the wildlife attack. Nowadays, due to climatic change, you're finding that there are a lot of invasion by wildlife. And by wildlife, we mean as small animals as squirrels and as small animals as birds. So when you're selecting your land to lease, look at the environment. Does it have a lot of squirrels? Is it highly invaded by birds? Because birds, and especially for those farmers who have done tomatoes and also capsicums, or even sunflower or even sorghum, these crops are really loved by birds. So you may even ask yourself, if I do this crop in this area, will birds come and destroy my crop? I've seen cases where birds destroy over 50% of a tomato farm. And the owner had to employ someone just to come and create some noise and make some noise to chase those birds away. You must really consider that. Also, consider the wildlife, the monkeys. If you have a farm, it has good soil, it has permanent water source, it's all that good, it's secure and all that, but it's next to a forest that is prone to monkeys. What will happen when you plant tomatoes or even carrots? You will never harvest because they will invade your farm and they will keep eating. So This one tends to limit the amount of all the number of crops that you can choose to plant in your farm. So you have to consider all that. The other one, and which is also very, very much crucial and most important, is contract. You have to have a written agreement between you and the person that is leasing that land to you. An agreement that is stating that I have leased this land so and so for a period of time for this amount, and this is the freedom that he has to do on the land. That is, he can farm, he can cut these trees, he can drill a borehole, and he will be paying this certain amount of money either per year, either quarterly, and this contract is gonna last maybe for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and for that whole period I shall not access the land. He shall have the full autonomous of the land. And also, in the event that we disagree and we have to terminate this contract, this is what we shall have to do, and maybe this is the amount that I shall have to refund, or I shall have to give the no notice. So it should be legally binding, and then also it should include the size of the land, the title number that identifies the land. You must have a witness. It should include the consideration, the amount of space, the freedom, whether you should build or drill borehole, all that. Because nowadays, people are not that much nice. You may lease a land with a word of mouth, and later on, the person comes and says, you never paid, I never leased this land, and there's no evidence, and you end up losing your money. So you must have a written agreement. So these are all the key factors that will help you have a sustainable farming and get a land that you can do farming for quite some time. Having this light prevents you having a lot of chaos and losing more money. Imagine you've already leased the land and you've done your investment, let's say 100 acres, you've planted your whole maize, but in between the season, you find that either part of the maize was cut because some parts of the family believe that you're doing much more, or they didn't agree on the lease, So to avoid all this, make sure that you do everything in the right way. And remember, I should tell people that when you're leasing land, it's not an emergency. Take time. Take your time, ask around, do everything right. Yes, so that by that, even in the event that you have to go to a court to defend your agreement, it's so much solid. Thank you for watching, and I thought this is the most basic, because we've been talking about crops and all this, but we've forgotten about these basics. These are so much crucial and so much important, and I hope that you've learned something from it. And if there is another factor that we left, I would really love to hear from you. What other factors do you consider when you're leasing or even buying an agricultural land? Thank you, and let me see you next on our video where we shall be discussing on how you can manage to grow cabbages successfully from seed to harvest. Thank you, and let me see you then.